Yo. Justice for Leon Briggs, yo. Rest in peace. Yo. Doherty, please. Yo. Check. Yo, it's J4L. Justice for Leon, this campaign can't fail. People keep dying inside the same old cells. Justice for Leon is just the same old tale. It's J4L, yo, it's J4L. Justice for Leon, this campaign can't fail. People keep dying inside the same old cells. Justice for Leon is just the same old tale. It's J4L. It's like I'm living in hell and resting where the devils they dwell. Feel like rebelling cause the police are like the devils as well. Yo, gather round, I got a story to tell. It's a story about how my friend, he got arrested and was dead in a cell.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks very much indeed. Right, it's coming up to 6:16. It's Thursday, the 23rd of January. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Luton Borough Council is backing calls for Bedfordshire Police to wear body cameras. Cool. Now, campaigners fighting for answers following a Luton man's death in police custody believe they've made a significant step forwards towards getting officers to wear body cameras. Justice for Leon formed after the death of Leon Briggs in November, and they believe that the knowledge that officers' actions and conversations were being recorded would reassure people, if they were being recorded, would reassure people at a time when confidence is low. Well, this week, Luton Borough Council gave cross-party support to that idea. Joined now by Michael Doherty, Director of the Accountability Campaign, JusticeNOW, and Liberty Louise is from Justice for Leon. Michael, nice to see both of you. Nice to see you again, Michael.
Good morning.
What does this council support mean, Michael?
I mean, obviously I'm not a Luton man, and I think it's absolutely historic that this decision, from a unanimous decision, I mean, it's very sort of few and far between times when you get cross-political support for an idea. That's Lib Dems, Conservatives and Labour. We were there at the council meeting, and I think it's real to see democracy in action, that this community-led initiative, Leon's Law, was implemented by the council and sort of unanimously voted upon, that they support. Do you want me to read out for your listeners what the council's actually...
Yep, go on, yes.
What they've actually voted for is that the council supports in principle the immediate introduction of all police constables to wear body-worn video equipment, which is to be activated during all arrests, detentions or use of force. That further believes that since police officers cannot predict how any conversation with a member of the public will progress, that the equipment should be activated at the commencement of any such conversation. So Leon's Law is about removing the discretion for police officers wearing body-worn cameras to build back up that confidence between the public and the police.
Liberty, were you surprised last night to get such an overwhelming support?
To be honest with you, I think it was the only logical conclusion to a problem that has been ongoing, not just in Leon Briggs' case, but obviously, you know, since 1969, the amount of deaths in custody. Sometimes the police are the only witnesses to these events. So therefore, it was the only logical and reasonable, solution to the problem. But it was very encouraging to get all cross-party support. Do you think if police had been wearing cameras, would that have made a difference in Leon's case? Absolutely. They had to call in about 60-odd witnesses, for different times and stages of the arrest and restraint. Now, if the cameras were worn, all of that would be recorded. There was 5 officers involved in that case. Now, say, for instance, one officer's camera wasn't working or they were faced the other way, surely the other officers would have been able to take that evidence down by camera as well. You've got all bases covered. Absolutely. If they're all wearing it. Yeah. Michael, the thing is that success last night for you, but what does it actually mean? They can't compel the police, can they, to wear cameras? No, I mean, but I think that the sort of the democratic will of Luton has been expressed explicitly now in that decision. Obviously, there'll be now negotiations with Bedfordshire Police in relation to the implementation of it. But in addition to that, we'll be meeting with Kelvin Hopkins, who has already given indications that he also supports it, to put a private bill through Parliament to try and implement this nationwide. Now, if this rolls out, Leon's Law, nationwide, obviously we intend that Bedfordshire will implement it, and we'll be pushing for that, and I'm sure the council will be supportive of that. But if this rolls out nationwide,
I think it's going to make a massive difference. When Glenn Jenkins was on your radio station just a few weeks ago, and he's saying it even about those very low-level interactions when the police are meeting with members of the public, hopefully it's going to change the relationship between the police and the public. Now, Leon's Law, some of the figures in there on American use of body-worn cameras during these situations, complaints against the police went down by 88%. Use of force went down by 60%. So there's a marked difference and change in the behaviour of police during every interaction. That 88% down in complaints against police could be that there's people don't make false accusations against police officers, so it's beneficial to them. But it also could be that people don't have a need to complain because the interaction's conducted professionally, and hopefully this is going to be beneficial not only for the public but for the police. I think it's a no-brainer, and I'm really pleased that it's been supported.
Liberty, what about the costs? The costs, police cutbacks, they're having to save millions of pounds. This is going to cost quite a bit of money, isn't it?
They've already done a trial of this in Staffordshire, and the figure was probably about £300,000. When you put that into comparison with the amount of money that is spent on police complaints, on investigations and on inquests, and also false allegations and complaints against the police, when you weigh up those costs, it balances out at the end of the day. So it's a clear, reasonable exchange of costing in terms of...
importantly,
cost.
actually, on the cost point, there isn't actually a cost to it because body-worn cameras will be coming for the police. But the issue is that the police have obviously been very supportive, Police Federation also, that they're going to bring them in. They are coming. The public are going to pay for these devices, but they wanted to have discretion that the police officer could choose when he wouldn't switch it off.
Right.
Our concerns would be that if they have that discretion, if an interaction happens that the police want to conceal, I know lots of cases, particularly deaths in custody, where CCTV disappears, wasn't working and stuff like that. If you have that discretion, it puts in that grey area, was it working at the time or wasn't it? Material won't be disclosed. And on that point, I think we're in a really quite historic time with police change in this country. Last week there was a Sky News survey. One of the questions for that Sky News survey was, do you believe that the police have a culture of cover-up? Remarkably, 52% of respondents in that survey said that they do believe that police have a culture of cover-up, and only 18% of the respondents said that there is no culture of cover-up. I mean, when you've got that volume of people saying there are concerns with the police covering up, this is something has to change.
Liberty, do you think that something like this could help restore faith in the police
Absolutely,
force?
And I think that's one of the key issues, particularly within the Luton community after the death in custody. It's at an all-time low. There's a complete erosion of trust and confidence in the police, and it would be beneficial to the community and the police if we had that. For instance, if you're stopped by a police officer and a camera's on, the public is going to, maybe their behaviour towards the police will change, but also the police's behaviour towards the public will change. If you're being watched, you behave better. That's just human nature. That's how we are. If we're not being watched, we can not get away with anything, but we can, you're not going to be accountable. So it brings in accountability.
Success last night. What happens now? Where do you go with this next?
Right, OK, what will happen now is I'm attending a meeting today, which is a community and police meeting. And I'm going to be quite determined in asking for a date of when there's possible implementation.
Now, when you say quite determined, how determined are you going to be? You're not going until you get a date, are you?
Well, I understand that they'll probably talk about trials, but from my point of view, the research and the data has already been collected. With other research studies, Bedfordshire Police are already doing a trial, so they have that data. So with the backing of the local authority, obviously, I'll be asking for a date of implementation. And if the date can't be given, then I will be asking maybe in 2 to 3 weeks, can you actually give me that date? So I can then go back to the community to say, there's not going to be a delay in this process. This is something that we need to do. Any kind of delay in the process means a possible another death in custody, and the community aren't willing to accept that. So,
Michael, you seem determined this is going to happen. When do you think this could potentially become a reality?
Obviously, my understanding is Bedfordshire Police are already trialling body-worn cameras, so the equipment's already there. So they could, if they have the will behind it, if they support the democratic will of the Luton Council, then I'm sure they could implement it very, very quickly. But in terms of, I think your listeners should be sort of, I'm sure some might be concerned about, people are concerned about CCTV and surveillance and that type of thing. The part of Leon's laws also has brought in the solicitor firm Bimberg Pierce, who are a massive respected civil liberties solicitors firm in London, to do a civil liberties review on this to ensure that people have the peace of mind that this isn't going to turn into some massive surveillance database. That this is only going to be used for evidential purposes if something happens. So if there's a complaint, or if there was it was needed in the use of it in a criminal trial, that data will be, that video footage would be retained. If it's not, it's going to be destroyed, so it doesn't become that massive surveillance database, which would be a concern. And organisations, I can't say that Big Brother Watch, who are quite a big sort of in the field of
we often
CCTV.
Yes.
I'm not saying that they are supportive of it, but they are currently, I would say, moderately supportive of it, which is quite interesting. That when they're very anti-CCTV, that they're thinking actually this particular type of video footage is actually going to be very beneficial for the public.
Listen, we have to end it. We're out of time. Michael, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Liberty, I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you
I know
very
it's a ridiculous time in the morning, isn't it?
Luton Borough Council is backing calls for all police officers in Bedfordshire to wear body cameras. A campaign group formed after the death of a Luton man in police custody says it's an historic moment.
Luton Council, what do you think? Good idea, police wearing cameras? I'm struggling to find an argument against it. Civil liberties, I mean, I don't know. I can't see how anyone can have a huge problem with it. Maybe you do. 08459 455 555. The Luton Borough Council is backing for calls for all police officers in Bedfordshire to wear body cameras. The Justice for Leon group, which was formed after the death of Leon Briggs, who died in police custody in November, have described it as an historic moment. Bedfordshire Police is already trialling body cams, but they don't have to be continuously switched on. Well, Justin Dealey has been out and about asking what people think. Morning, Just.
Hello, Ian.
I can't think of an argument against this.
I know what you're saying, but certainly the views on the street are mixed. I've been asking people this morning if they think these police cameras are a good idea. Here's what people had to say.
No, not really, because unless they've got a good reason to stop you, then I can't see why they have to film everything, because it's taken away your privacy, really.
So, Paul, how would you feel about the police wearing cameras?
When they stop me and they want to know what's going on, I prefer to be recorded.
You prefer to be recorded?
Yeah, for our safety, so that they know what the police is saying to me, what I'm saying to the police. Stuff happens, there can be miscommunications and, anything can go down.
So for everyone's benefit, the police and yours, ways of proving things, if the police were recording, the evidence is there, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, they do that in the States. The police record you when they pull you over, like, driving and stuff like that. They do that. So they bring that in court, and then again, that makes the police be aware of what they say to you.
Now, Thomas, you've been stopped by the police for quite simply wearing a hoodie.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
So when they stopped you, they said what?
What am I up to? Where am I going?
And you've done nothing wrong?
No.
Okay. So how would you have felt then if that conversation was being recorded by the police? How would that make you feel?
A bit intimidating.
What's your trust like in the police at this moment in time? Do you trust the police force locally?
50-50. Obviously there's good people and there's bad people, and that's the same with the police as well. There'll be bad police and good police.
Well, thank you for that, Justin. I'm joined now by Chief Superintendent Jim Saunders, who's been heading up this body cam trial. Jim, is trust and faith in police, I would suggest, is at an all-time low. Is this trial, are these cameras going to change that, do you think?
Well, I think it would be fair to say that due to a lot of, certainly some national issues, yes, the confidence in the police has taken a knock. The body-worn video camera, I mean, just from a Bedfordshire police point of view, we've always been very supportive of the use of body-worn video, which is why we've been trying this. We actually started back in May 2013, actually looking at a camera. And then more formally, in November of 2013, we started testing 2 different types of camera out in Luton. We've got 6 cameras out there being tested. And we're looking also at the back office software around that. I mean, the bottom line is that, the feedback we get from officers, they're very happy to wear body-worn video. It gives them some protection. It helps them to record evidence. So there's some benefits there. From a public point of view, clearly, there is an issue with confidence, as we've just touched on. I think it's certainly going to help that. We mustn't hide the fact that some officers, have been and are civil to members of the public.
Jim, how does this trial work? Do the police determine when they switch the cameras on and when they switch them off?
Well, this is one of the issues with it. Some people suggesting that we should be recording every single interaction, and in fact the camera should be on full time. That is not the view. That the national guidance doesn't say that.
But then that's flawed, isn't it? If people aren't trusting the police and the police are deciding what they film and what they don't film, then that can't work, can it?
Well, on the other hand, as you've heard this morning from a number of your listeners there, do the majority of members of the public want every single interaction between a police officer and a member of the public?
You answered the question with the question, Jim. Go back to the question I put to you. If the police aren't trusted and they are deciding what they film and what they don't film, then it can't work.
I would disagree with that, because the alternative is, as you say, is that every single thing is recorded. Now, that raises a number of issues. That's not
the alternative. Another alternative would be the moment they start having contact with someone, they record it. So, I see what you're doing. You're deflecting with another question. Just answer this, though, please, Jim. If the police aren't trusted, and if, as we know, the police have done some things that they would rather the public didn't know, if the police are deciding what they record and what they don't record, that just will not work, will it? That will not restore faith in the police service, and it will mean that corrupt officers can still be corrupt.
Well, no, I don't agree with that. Police officers, the vast majority of police officers are very hard-working, very efficient, loyal. And
I'm not denying that, but let's talk about Plebgate then. If the police cameras, if the police could have decided to film that or not film that, if they'd have filmed the whole incident, then we would know exactly what had happened. Instead, some police officers lied.
Well, a police officer who wasn't at the scene lied. There's no suggestion.
But if it had been filmed, we'd know.
Suggestion that the police officer involved in the incident actually lied.
But if it had been filmed, we would have known exactly what would have happened, and that police officer, his lie, we would have known he'd lied straight away.
Yeah, I agree. And the point there is that this equipment will allow you to record
if they choose to.
The question is, so let's take an example. If an officer goes to deal with a burglary at someone's house. So a member of public reporting that, does that member of public want the police officer coming into their house recording that interaction? I don't know if they do.
Well, have you asked anybody?
Well, no.
Well, then you have no idea, Jim, do you? You have no idea. Maybe you should conduct a survey and ask people.
Well, maybe we should, and maybe as the point I'm making here, there's a.
I'm surprised you haven't. If you're heading up the body cam trial, I'm surprised you haven't spoken to the public and to victims of crime.
Well, we have consulted groups, our independent advisory group, for example.
Have they spoken to the public and victims of crime?
And if you let me finish, the evaluation is not yet complete.
So have they spoken to
testing the equipment?
Have they spoken to the public and victims of crime?
If you just allow me to finish it.
You can answer that question. We'll answer it.
That we are testing the cameras in terms of whether the cameras actually work properly, if the back office facilities work properly.
You made that point.
What we will
have
then
they spoken to the public and victims of crime?
Finish the question you're asking me.
Well, because you keep avoiding it, Jim. Just answer it.
I'm not avoiding it at all.
The question is, have you spoken to the public or victims of crime? Yes or no?
We of course, officers speak to members of the public and victims of crime every single day.
Jim, you're just being obtuse. In regards to the body cam trial, which you are heading up, have you spoken to the public or victims of crime regarding this specific trial? Yes or no?
We have not done a specific study.
There we go. That's all we wanted.
If you let me finish, we're involved in a national piece of work. We're also working with Cambridge University in terms of a study. So we haven't done it specifically yet, but we will be doing that.
To be honest, it sounds then you can't bring up examples of people who've had their houses burgled. Would they want their property filmed? You can't bring that up as a potential problem if you've not spoken to those people. And I would suggest if you're heading up,
I can, because I'm a member of the public the same as you are.
I would suggest if you're heading up, well, you're a chief superintendent, so you're going to come from the police point of view. I would suggest if you're heading up a body cam trial and you're going to use examples like that as to why police officers can choose what they film and what they don't film, I would suggest you go and talk to the public and victims of crime and get their opinion.
As I said, I'm not using that as an example of why I pose that as a question. Yeah, okay, and there's lots of other examples I could use in relation to that. So going back to the point here, we are trialling these cameras. We will consult with members of the public. We want to do what is right for the public. which is why we're actually looking at this equipment anyway. There are lots of benefits for the police and for the public. We know that, for example, we get reduced complaints of incivility, reduced complaints of inappropriate behaviour by police officers, but equally we get less assaults on police officers and we get better conviction rates at court because the evidence is already secured on the video. So we're not against this, we're actually pushing this.
Jim, we've got to end it there. Thank you very much indeed, Chief Superintendent Jim Saunders. Sorry to push you, Jim, but it does annoy me when people will fudge an answer. Just answer the question, and you did eventually. So thank you for that, I appreciate that. On the subject of the police wearing body cams, Matt's in Hitchin. Morning, Matt.
Morning, Ian, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. What would you like to say?
I think it should be a compulsory thing, to be honest. The idea of being able to switch them on and switch them off, it just wouldn't work.
Well, that seems to me to be the flaw. We spoke to Jim Saunders there, and he seemed reluctant to answer a couple of questions. That seems to me to be a big flaw. If there are corrupt police, which there are, a tiny, tiny percentage, but there are, we know, then they'll be corrupt because they will be choosing when to turn the camera off and when to turn it on.
Correct, yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not going to... If something's gone wrong that you don't want to go wrong, you're not going to want the camera on, are you?
Yeah.
Simple as that. So the whole argument of having them switched on and off just doesn't work.
And it is, and also you have them on because we do hear stories of the police speaking disrespectfully to people when they stop them. We've all heard stories of that. Yeah. And also the more serious incidents like the deaths that we've heard about in police custody.
Yes. Well, I do know someone that actually died in police custody through the restraints and everything else that happened. And it's been a nightmare, really, for the family because the police are constantly changing their story on what happened. You can read all their different reports for the events of the day, and each time it comes to court or a new investigation's done, the story's changed.
Now, don't give us any names or anything like that, because if there's a case going on, we can't get into that. But do you think if the police had worn body cameras, that your friend A wouldn't have died? Or B, if they had died, that this would have been sorted out a lot quicker?
Oh, most definitely, yeah. I mean, this is going on for 3 or 4 years now, this has happened. So, the whole outcome of it would have been transparent if the cameras had been there. Everyone would have known right from the outset what had happened.
Matt, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much indeed. And this, if you heard, we'll put it in the podcast, but I was speaking to... Jim Saunders, who is a chief superintendent. He's heading up the body cam trial. He seemed to think it acceptable that the police could decide what to film and what not to film. And it doesn't work, does it? That can't work. The plebgate thing. That wouldn't have happened if the policeman had been wearing a camera and it filmed everything. Because you've got one copper saying one thing, you've got an MP saying something else. Let's get the tape, shall we? All right, you did a bit, you did a bit. You'd be able to sort it out straight away, immediately. People wouldn't have lost their jobs as a result of what happened. People wouldn't have their names muddied in the newspapers because of what had or had not happened. If the police are going to do it, they have to have it turned on all the time.
Justice for Leon Briggs, yo. Rest in peace. Yo. Doherty, please. Yo. Check. Yo, it's J4L. Justice for Leon, this campaign can't fail. People keep dying inside the same old cells. Justice for Leon is just the same old tale. It's J4L, yo, it's J4L. Justice for Leon, this campaign can't fail. People keep dying inside the same old cells. Justice for Leon is just the same old tale. It's J4L. It's like I'm living in hell and resting where the devils they dwell. Feel like rebelling cause the police are like the devils as well. Yo, gather round, I got a story to tell. It's a story about how my friend, he got arrested and was dead in a cell, shocking my shell. Disgusted by the way it was dealt. The police completely disregarded that he needed some help. They come in heavy-handed and they even abandoned the ambulance. Shackled, sat on his back, the way it was handled was scandalous. He got arrested for his mental health, then got murdered by those in power that were sent to help. I've had it all with all the police in the paper saying he's bombing just because he knew the truth and believed in Illuminati. Yo, these dirty coppers with community come and run these tricks. Come arrest us and call us nutters with their 136. Say yo, these dodgy coppers need to pay for their crimes. Start facing justice and just start doing some time. Increasing the peace, there's far too many people deceased. We need an independent body to stop policing the police. We need some unity put back in community to stop all these dodgy coppers thinking that they can drop us and have immunity. Cause it's a damn shame having your man slain. We started this campaign just to stop all this damn pain. It's non-violent, we're set on keeping it calm with it. We gathered up the troops and we started marching to Parliament. It's J4L, Justice for Leon, this campaign can't fail. People keep dying inside the same old cells. Justice for Leon, it's just the same old tale. It's J4L, yo, it's J4L. Justice for Leon, this campaign can't fail. People keep dying inside the same old cells. Justice for Leon, it's just the same old tale. It's J4L. Check. The local neighborhood was more than offended. And 5 days later, these 7 officers were suspended. The independent assessment was sure to be more reclusive, and the coroner's report was recorded as inconclusive. Yo, we're coming looking for answers, cause we ain't having it. It's time we started raising these questions up in the cabinet. 5,000 bodies since 69, and not one cop has been convicted of these heinous crimes. It's all real and we need to appeal. We need to find out why the police will put him through this terrifying ordeal. Start quizzing all these officials and demand all the answers to put a stop to the copper in command of these chances. Yo, who was the copper in charge and who was responsible? Why was he taken to the station and not to the hospital? He should have been given some specialist care, but you took him to where you know there ain't no specialist there. Locked in a cell after being beat down on the street. My brother Leon Briggs was murdered by these pigs on the beat, getting restrained. My friend should be sat on the ward cause of a lack of training. Now he's laying flat on the morgue. Yeah, yo, I find it hard to keep calm and restrain my temper when I remember what they did on the 4th of November. Coming for proof, the police just discouraged the youth. Justice for Leon's on a mission to discover the truth. So yo, before we see all this decorum decrease, before people talk on the forum with reports on their grief, we need to start with arresting the police. Justice for Leon's on a mission, we ain't resting till he's resting in peace. Say yo, it's J4L, Justice for Leon, this campaign can't fail. People keep dying inside the same old cells. Justice for Leon, it's just the same old tale. It's J4L, yo, it's J4L. Justice for Leon, this campaign can't fail. People keep dying inside the same old cells. Justice for Leon, it's just the same old tale. It's J4L. Yo, and this is for all of those murdered, whether in the cell, the van, or the street, by the hands of the police. Rest in peace to every one of you. Philly, yo.
There'll be more meetings in the days and weeks ahead to try to calm a community which has lost a son, a brother, a father